discuss the SAD, Long Lake Weed Control SAD. Excuse me, last week, we had our regular business meeting, and as I said, we took the comments and we had a time where we listened to your concerns, and we were not responding because that's what we do during visitor comments. We do it for every board meeting as we do. We heard your concerns. We did not respond to them. But through the week, we also had some residents that had contacted a number of our board members. And some of the concerns that we heard rung with some concerns or problems that we felt were not getting the full benefit of the information that was out there. They were ran with stuff that made us feel like that the full information wasn't necessarily getting to everybody as to what may happen as a result of any change that could occur. As such, we had not had a chance to respond to anything. So I guess before we got started tonight, what I kind of wanted to do, the board would ask is if we could have a chance to maybe respond to a little bit of what we had heard, to maybe allay some of the concerns and issues that you had raised last week. Rather than me talk, because most of you already heard me talk about this, I was going to let the board kind of speak about this. So we kind of start down on the end down there, Roland, if you'd like to start.
Okay, just so everybody knows, I'm the treasurer, so you're going to see that perspective when we get into the numbers here. I'll try to stay to the point. I'm just going to highlight some things that we've had to think about. Keep an open mind. We're just trying to hear everything out, and we're asking you to do the same and hear us out. One of the things I want to explain to you is, as a treasurer, I collect for 9 different lakes, 5 of which are PLM, 4 salmon. Long Lake is the only lake that has a consultant, and all these lakes are treating for milfoil, which is all the same treatment. They're using the same chemicals. That's something that we have to take into consideration. Out of those 8 lakes, we've never had a DQ fine, a report of health issues, misappropriation, mistreatments, nothing. This case, PLM is treating Long Lake, and they are also the ones that pull the permit and are licensed to apply the chemicals. So from our perspective, that's important. Now to the treasurer part, I'm going to focus on the numbers because that's my thing. As the resolution stands right now from 2018, the maximum we can collect for this winter's 2021 taxes is $31,440. Doing so, you're starting out with a $13,000 deficit from last summer, $1,500 for permit, and PLM, when we talked to them, estimating close to $17,000, so I just rounded it to $17,000. Doing that math, you're $60 in the hole, which is basically a break even. One of the things that Mike sent to us was you were asking to have a public hearing and raise it to $40,000. Again, with the deficit, the permit, and the $17,000, it still only leaves a balance of $8,500, which is still not enough to continue with restorative if their contract stays at the 10.5.
How much were they left for? I'm sorry.
8,500. So that's the numbers I wanted to put out there. And now I'm going to turn over to Diane and Roger because they're both on the 451 lake boards representing the other lakes.
I'm Diane Allen. I'm also on Little Long Lake and Loon Lakes board. Bree has been treating from PLM, has been treating your lake since 2015. She's also been treating Loon Lake. Next year she'll be treating Little Long Lake. And I don't know the other 2 that you're doing. There's 3 other ones.
Joe's Lake.
Joe's.
Little one.
Loon Lake, Little Long.
And West
Lake.
Lawn. West Lawn.
Okay. And we have not had any problems with those lakes. She's done a good job. There's been milfoil issues that have been taken care of. So I'm not quite sure when you look at the numbers, how you guys are going to be able to pay for the lake service.
I have two concerns. One is, apparently information has gone out, because I've received a lot of emails basically saying that, the lake is gonna go back to the way it was in 2012. There's not gonna be any treatments, and that is totally untrue. And I think you'll hear later on that nothing's really gonna change as far as treatments and the weed control. The second thing is, and I had a meeting with Mike and Chris, on covering all this, and I share the same thing with the financial side of it. And Roma covered that kind of clearly, so, but I'm also on West Londo Lake and the other lakes, and we have a good working relationship with PLM. And I foresee them doing the same thing that they've been doing for every lake in this county. And I don't see where Long Lake is any different than any of the other lakes in the county. So,
And that's the way I feel too. Like I said, none of them have a consultant, none of them. That company that treats those lakes, they know what chemicals them lakes need. And she's been doing all these other lakes without a consultant. Like I said, them lakes are top notch. Another thing you have to consider on my part, that I do, is notices that go in the paper. There's another $500. Because you gotta have 2 notices. They're,
She's talking if you do the public.
if you do the special assessment. Special assessments run almost $200 for each time you put it in. Just so you know, there's another expense.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it true that those expenses get charged back to the special assessment district? So,
Exactly, but your special assessment district, you're still, you're already very cutting it short. Just so you know, it's not a large amount, but it's still an amount that's got to be taken into consideration.
As Roger said, I just, and this is something I mentioned to you guys at the meeting on Saturday, when you had your meeting on, regardless of whether, regardless of your consultant or not, the contract that your treatment contractor has is with the township, and that is not changing. PLM has been treating your lake since 2015 and will continue to treat your lake, regardless of consultant or not. They do the same job they've been doing. Because that's what this is about, is weed treatment in the lake. The assessment of treatment needs are done the same way it's done on every other lake that they treat. They come in the spring, take a look after the ice is gone, take a look at how the lake weathered over the winter, do an assessment of the needs, make a determination, set the treatment program up, and away they go, based on those needs. That's exactly the way it's been done on every other lake and the way it's been done on your lake. Same exact program you guys have. It's not, it won't change. Nothing's going back to anything. Because it's not going to change what you're seeing right now. Same treatment that's you've been having for the last 5 years is going to continue. It will continue. You won't see a glitch in any of it. As far as getting information, and receiving data and reports and whatnot, PLM provides them. As a matter of fact, the meeting I was at on that Saturday, I had come from a meeting in here at Loon Lake, and PLM was at that meeting providing the same stuff that RLS was providing to you guys with the reports and whatnot. Bree this is Bree from PLM over here. I don't know if you know her or not, but she's been doing work for the township and various lakes. But I had asked if she was here just today, just to reiterate that her intention was to continue doing the work. Is that basically
correct.
continue performing the services that they've been performing?
Can I ask what her credentials are?
Pardon?
Please, are.
And so, that's kind of where we're at, and what our intentions are as far as continuing on with with the work. It's not anything more or less than what we've been doing, and you'll get the same service that you've been getting, basically, as far as the lake management goes, and getting your work done, so.
Okay, I'm Michael Lesich, president of the Long Lake Property Owners Association currently. And I'd like to start with, this is not about chemical application. This is about lake quality.
What lake management?
Pardon me?
Lake management.
No, in government, in my approach to government is less government is better government. So let's make sure we're solving the problem. This is not about lake management. If I didn't need a lake manager, I wouldn't have one. This is about keeping Long Lake pristine. In 2012, we had 60% of our lake was topped out milfoil. We had engines blown, jet skis destroyed, tens of thousands of dollars of damage done because of this. We do not want to return to that, and just let me finish. We don't expect to return to that. But at the same time, we've had professional consultancy come in and manage this lake, and these people, a show of hands, are you satisfied with what the lake we have now? Would you like to keep it there? That's all. We are at, her company has apparently done a fine job, and they are managed, they are directed by RLS on where to spray. It is not about going out and treating milfoil. It's about milfoil is one of the invasive species we have on this lake. We want to continue to have a pristine lake. We would like our wishes to be taken into consideration. And to the financial problem, this was a problem created in 2018 because the Special Assessment District did not take into account the average cost of RLS in treating the lake over the prior 3 years, which was over $30,000 a year. So the goal of spending down a fund balance is reasonable. I do that in my own job in the city that I'm a council member at. I understand how a fund balance works, but at the same time, one could have reasonably done a projection to determine that we would be in exactly the same spot. I think we're just a year early. So here we are. I hear that we don't have enough money, so I have a question for you. If somehow the association could do a GoFundMe, can we contribute to the SAD and cover those costs?
Can they subsidize an SAD?
Pardon?
Can you subsidize
Can you
SAD?
subsidize?
Yeah, they can contribute to anything they want.
Okay,
They could actually come up with the funds themselves and send it in and pay for the bill.
okay.
They have every right to do
That's an
so.
option.
It's
Somebody write that.
their SAD.
So,
This
But,
all just
I
got
mean,
so
they
much
could, they
easier.
could hire the consultant.
Yeah, you could hire the consultant yourself.
but then who does, well, let's not go there yet. Let's
I
one.
mean,
I mean, you said options.
That's, no, and that, I appreciate that. That's why we're here. We want to know what the options are. We want to work with the township. All we're asking is that we get the service that we're satisfied with and we wish to pay for. As you correctly said, the Special Assessment District pays for all costs, or all the costs to, for treatment, lake management.
Special
for
assessment, no.
That's not true, because
No,
special
no.
assessments do not get charged an admin fee. Therefore, Sue
Okay.
and I monitoring your accounts, paying your bills,
Okay.
collecting the taxes, none of that gets paid for. Our time does not
Okay,
get paid for.
but we as
Taxpayers,
I was
yeah.
gonna say,
as non-principal
there's one
residents, we pay we pay a significant amount of.
That money, wait a minute.
Hold on,
None of
one
that
at a
comes
time.
here. That's school tax. None of that comes here. Your non-resident extra tax
Well,
goes
okay.
to the school.
All right.
None of that comes here.
We do pay property taxes on the lake.
Yeah.
And a conservative estimate of the property values in that lake is over $100 million. For $20 or $30 a year, I think each and every one of us would be willing to pay for that.
No, it's not true. Taxable value of that lake is not over 100 million.
All right, the market value of that lake is over $100 million.
That doesn't make any difference to us, though. That, we
It
don't.
makes a difference to every one of us, so let's just be clear.
To you guys it does, but that's not.
Well,
that's not
it
ours.
concerns
That's
me
not
that it
ours.
doesn't matter to you.
Yeah,
But
us,
I'm not here to
taxable
argue,
value
I'm
is
here to solve,
taxable value is
I'm
our
here to
issue.
find options so that we can retain RLS as Restorative Lake Sciences as our lake manager. The other lakes can be quite satisfied, and RLS is satisfied with the work of PLM. But what we want is what we've had before that has worked so well. And I disagree when you say that we will have exactly the same thing we have now. No, we won't. We are satisfied that we have a credentialed lake professional, a person with 3 advanced degrees in freshwater science management. We like that. We like that she works with PLM. We like, that's the service we like. That's the service we enjoy. And a survey, somebody went out, one of our residents went out and did a survey of all the other lake assessments. We are the lowest in the area. So it's not a matter of your,
That's not true.
okay, who's the lowest in there?
It's chain link.
Why are we even debating this?
Okay.
Quite frankly,
Of the large all sports lakes in the immediate area, Loon Lake, Little Long Lake,
Was long.
Long Lake, we are the lowest. And so it is not a matter of, and that is partially due because the special assessment district, we are spending down fund balance for the last 4 years. We've been spending more money than we're bringing in each of the past 4 years. That's a fact. Would you agree with that?
What about this option? Go 1 year till you get your deficit taken care of, and then go back.
Go 1 year what?
Go 1 year without restorative
No,
till you get.
no.
Okay.
My experience is that once you lose a service, it is gone. It is very hard to come back because I don't know when the elections are here, but this board may not consist of the same people next year. So your promises are not, they do not transfer to a future administration. So.
Well, I'm not saying that was a promise.
No, I
because I'm just
understand that.
saying it's an option if there's no money to pay, and you do realize the reason you're in a deficit, don't you?
No,
The reason you're in a deficit is because RLS approved a treatment that there wasn't money in the budget for.
okay, we could look at that.
That's exactly why.
So, okay. I take a different perspective. I go back to 2018 when you underfunded the special assessment district, because I have people here that have been around for a long time on this project. And the verbal agreement back then was to keep a fund balance, or escrow as somebody called it, of 50,000.
No, that was what you wanted, and you were.
All right, okay, we're gonna argue.
I'm
Let's-
not-
Sat in your office and agreed to it, Brett.
We did.
All right,
You never
okay.
set my office.
All right.
You wouldn't be in the mess you're in now.
You never set my office.
So is it reasonable in a government fund to have a reasonable fund balance for unexpected contingencies?
You cannot you cannot treat a special assessment as a savings account.
I
It's
understand.
illegal. You can't have $50,000 sitting there.
Okay,
because-
all right, so let's,
Can I finish,
sure.
please? If Chris pays into this and he sells his property, he's paid into this fund balance, but he's not getting that money back.
Right. Understood.
So it's
Gotta
not
put-
allowed to keep.
So
a
$0?
$50,000 No, I didn't say zero. There
Okay,
is,
what
a
is
fu-
it?
I don't know what the percentages are, I don't know how, but when you're talking a full year of
Okay,
service that you want to sit in an account, you can't do that.
so we can agree that the number is somewhere between $0 and $50,000. And to the lower end of that
Well,
number.
okay, we assessed 28,375 or something last
Okay.
year, whatever it was. And the assessment, what did I say, 30?
And how much did we spend last year?
Would be the largest, the way it's written up right now, the largest we can collect this year is 31,440.
With the
With the
board vote,
5% and the-
with the board vote, yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
Without opening it up to the public hearing and changing to the 40 like you talked.
I understand.
you talked about.
It's 5% without a board vote. Did we go up to 5% last year, or was it something less? I think it might have.
Might have been 5% last year.
Okay.
The numbers right in front of me, but there
So-
were several years where it was under that,
Yeah,
But,
unfortunately,
yeah,
yes.
but that's because of the huge fund balance that had to be used up.
but, okay, was that, and I understand spending down fund balance. I understand that very well. So the question is, I can go back to 2018 where the long-term plan was that this fund balance would be 0 by next year. I think we're a year early, that's all.
Yeah.
Because of this larger than expected invoice. I think one of the problems has been communication. And I like written communication to government, so that the board, the association understands what the budget is. And so there's a document that says, hey, this is the money we have, and what can we do with it? So if we had your agreement that we can continue to use RLS, and then we know exactly what the money left over for weed treatment is, we will go out and try to solve that problem ourselves. One way to do that is to eliminate for the next year, the treatment of nuisance native weeds, which we've done, which some of that expenditure this summer was from that. We can say that's not gonna happen. We're willing to work within a budget. We just need to know what that budget is.
Okay, I just, to set some record straight, I want to just try and get some numbers out there so that the rest of you can understand the context of what we're coming from. There's three major components to the budget every year. Two of them are fixed. One of them is the permit, which is $1,500 a year. It's a fixed fee, same price every year. The other one is RLS's fee, which is $10,500 every year. It's a fixed price, doesn't change. The third one, which is the biggest number, is the one that does change every year, and that is the treatment cost. It varies depending upon what happens in the lake every year. Treatment cost for the last 4 years, 2018, $26,123. 2019, $18,282. 2020, $17,887. This year, $31,166, almost double from the previous year. In September, coming off of 2020, $17,887 treatment year. I sent an email to RLS and I said, we assessed $28,875 last year. What do you think for treatment for next year? Do we need to up it? Are we at the same? Do you think you're at the same level of treatment where we at? The answer I got back from RLS is we should be about the same as we were this year. So we upped it to 5% the way we went.
Okay.
Instead of staying at the $17,787 that they treated the previous year, we treated $31,166, which is why we are in the situation we are in.
No.
Yes,
Okay.
those are the facts. I can't deny them. These are the numbers, the way they came in.
And also the facts are that in 2018, the special assessment district was set at $25,000,
I-
and that at some point in time, we were going,
Mike, I don't care about that. All I'm telling you
I
is
do.
how we came about these numbers to get to today's
True.
date.
And to your point, you gave us some numbers that are accurate, that each of every year for the last 3 years, that number's been going down. Last year, we collected enough from the special assessment district to cover RLS and the weed treatment. That was done. We were actually under last year. So this year, the weeds were worse. And I have a question. Just, if PLM had a concern about the amount of treatment and the cost of that, was it brought to your attention?
It's not,
Wait a minute, PLM
they're not to
did not
talk,
budget.
they're not to communicate with us. That's the agreement
not
between
correct.
RLS and you guys.
Okay.
RLS's
But
agreement with you guys and us,
But I thought we
Is-
had, you told me that you hold the contract with RLS.
we do. And the agreement that RLS has with you guys is that you're supposed to contact us. You, the association.
Okay.
It's in the agreement.
It hasn't, that hasn't been abided by.
So.
I know that.
No,
So-
there have been requests from people on the township board to go out and do special treatments in certain areas on the lake. Bypassed RLS, bypassed anybody from
Whoa,
LLPOA.
whoa, whoa, say that again.
Wait,
Say it again.
yeah.
There were treatments that were applied.
Yeah, there has been.
The RLS was no, hold on.
Every year gets a special spray, Booker and into the code.
That didn't come
every
to this
year gets a
board.
Special
That
spray.
did not come
They
to-
call Fred, and a week later, they're out there spraying.
So,
We've asked multiple times, do not do that, because we're gonna have a survey a week or two after that fact, and we're gonna have another spray. These special sprays. is
The
totally
only
uncalled for.
time I have ever
We've asked
called
for it, not-
PLM, the only time I've ever called PLM about a spray was a question about whether it was sprayed over by the bar.
Yeah, every year.
so,
No, not every year, one
Well-
time, I
well,
remember.
here's what I,
But that was the only time that I've ever asked. I didn't ask for a spray. I asked if it was sprayed, not to spray.
I I think we can all agree there's a path to better communication between the board, whoever's doing the treatment, and the association. Would you agree with that we can do better?
There is, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
Mike, there is no communication between the association and us. I have never once, and I don't know about you guys, because you guys could give it to them. I have never once had anyone from your association call up and ask for a budget number.
Well,
Where we're at, where
but I-
where we need to be.
Hold on.
Other than lately,
Yes.
other than lately.
You have a,
Prior to
I
this,
sat down with Bill
prior to
about 3 or
this,
4 years ago.
I mean, calling up and saying, where do we stand, where are we at, what's going on? And the reason and I say that because in the past, what I do on other lakes, I'll give you an example on other lakes. And I say that because other lakes end up calling, the treatment contractors usually end up calling and saying, I got this coming up, where do you stand, where are we at, where's our number? I don't get that, so I don't know what's going on.
so back to my question. Do you
Yeah,
think
oh,
there is room
absolutely.
for improvement? You
Oh,
have the
absolutely.
commitment of that man, that woman, with that other guy, and me, that you have 100% communication. Obviously, I'm all about communicating.
I have had
believe-
more communication with your association, your group, your property owners association in the last month than I have in a long time.
Well, we're gonna continue that, and
Because
I,
everything's been going well, now that we are.
Pardon?
faced- Because everything has been going well, and now that we're faced with losing services that we value, of course, people are gonna come out of the woodwork. I mean, the fact that the special assessment district has been underfunded, and we didn't have any money in there for a rainy day fund. I mean, that's part of the reason why we want to increase the assessment, so that we do have some cushion, so that if there are seasons, years that the weeds are worse than
But
they
it's
are.
not a savings account. It's not, that's a special
But-
assessment
We-
is not.
When we approved the
I'm
assessment
not
district,
suggesting it, I'm not suggesting a savings account. I'm suggesting that we establish enough funding so that in the event that there are severe issues that crop up, we can address those.
That's what budgeting is.
She had one question, but then I have a comment.
go ahead.
I would like to let the people here know that we, as an association, have indeed come to check the budget. I even went over stuff, I don't know, Sue, if you remember, and we found some discrepancies there. So you cannot state to this group that we have never come to check the budget or looked at anything, because
The only
that
thing I
is in fact false.
I said, unless they talked with her,
We didn't say
I
that.
said.
But we
me.
never
I
actually
said
sat down
me.
and talked about what you have in the budget.
I said
No,
me.
but I came, we know, right? Because there was a discrepancy with the payment.
Oh,
that-
yes, yes.
So,
On a
yeah, we
quarterly, on a
have
quarterly.
done it, but
That's what I said, it was,
Yeah.
I said
All
with
right.
me,
I
With
just
me.
would like to make that clear
that
to
was with her.
everyone here.
that was with her.
I have one comment. Does anybody out there think it's odd that the reason you have a deficit is because Jennifer okayed the treatment when she knew what the budget was for the year and put you over?
Everybody's okay with that? She did?
As a matter of fact, I have yet to see the email that you said that there was a budget.
I sent you that email,
You sent me the email, it was basically one sentence, and if I recall, it was approximately $28,000.
Right.
Okay?
And
I
it
took
was-
you to task, sir, for that. That is not the way to do a budget.
I don't care whether it's a way to do a budget. The
I
email-
do, I do, I live on the lake. Okay, I care
Chris,
about that.
Chris.
It was
stop.
incorrect, the
Did
approach
it-
was
Whether
incorrect.
it's the
and
right, whether
we need
you
to
agree
fix
with,
that.
whether you agree with it the way it does or doesn't do it. The question is, the email that I sent to her said, Jennifer, last year we assessed this amount of money. What do you think is gonna be needed for the upcoming year? And her response to me was, it'll be about the same. Is that true?
That is true,
Thank you.
Okay.
but it is not comprehensive. I know, it's full of holes, sir. I work at the Renaissance Center. We're a company that does the property management. I oversee a $100 million budget. If I did what you did there, I wouldn't be doing the job that I have today. Okay? There has to be details. There is missing information. There is lack of communication that has brought us to where we are at today. We'd like to work with to fix.
That
And
got
move
the,
forward.
that got me the information I needed.
Okay.
That settled the answer. That answered my question.
All right.
Told me what I needed to do.
There's a lot of gray areas. There are very few absolutes in this discussion tonight. I would like to address your question.
Please.
Yes. I trust RLS, and if that was the treatment, and the mistake we made was saying, do some nuisance natives as well. We should have left those alone. And that is a mistake we won't make again. We will, from this point forward, everyone on this board will be fly specking this to make sure that we know exactly what we're getting, who's in charge, who's making the call on what to treat. And, but I would like to address one point. I understand, Roma, that this is not a savings account. This is not a kitty. This is not, but as we agree, there's some fund balance there to handle unexpected contingencies. So,
But are you saying unexpected of doubling the treatment from 17,000 to 31,000?
how much was it 3 years before that? 2 years before that?
18.
I think it was 26, wasn't it 26,000?
18.
Okay, so we're not doubling from last year. Every year is different. This year, I've heard anecdotal stories that there have been flare-ups. And that's the point of having some fund balance, because what if we needed 40,000 because there was a 50-acre spot of milfoil that just came up after 7 years, which is possible. Would we just not treat it and allow it to create a continuing problem that could spread around the lake? We'd find a way to fix that. I think, so the question is, what do we do so that we can manage this, have a reasonable fund balance for contingencies, and how to fund it?
Yeah, Chuck Hamilton. I've been on this program for quite some time, as Fred knows. When Jennifer raised the cost of the treatment last year, what did she say when you called her and asked her why? What did she say, Fred?
I don't know what you're at. What'd you say?
She increased the price of the treatment.
When we got
The
when
herbicide,
we got
the
that
herbicide.
huge- When we got
Okay.
that huge bill.
Okay, yeah. Did you call her and ask, what did she say when you called her and asked her why she did that?
Or she did what?
Why she increased the
Why she
treatment
charged so
cost? What did she say?
Why she okay that?
What did she say?
Why is she okay? What?
What did she say when you called her and asked her why she increased the herbicide treatment?
When we got that
She didn't
20.
increase it. You mean why she approved the herbicide treatment?
There's an increase that you're talking about, an increase in the treatment of our weeds
No,
last
it was
year.
an approval for a treatment program.
That's we're over budget, right? You're saying that we're over budget.
You were over what? Yes.
So the cost was increased last year over what it was before. Is
Yeah,
that
but it's not
correct? Is that correct?
That's,
Just answer me the question. Is that correct?
the cost is larger than it was last year.
Okay, did you call her and ask her why she used that herbicide?
No.
treatment? Why? Don't you think the first thing you would do is call and say, why did you increase the cost? Are there more weeds? Is this a more efficient herbicide? Or is there something else, that the rationale that you're using for this herbicide?
No, because I would assume that the only reason
You're assuming because you don't know the answer. Now,
Okay.
that's the first thing. I called her and asked her why she did that.
Mhm.
And the reason is that the weeds over time are not as effective with a herbicide they've treated with previously. So she used a different treatment to be more effective on the weeds that she was trying to treat. That's the reason.
But
for
shouldn't
it.
she object?
And we are, excuse me, and we are willing to pay for that. Now, it looks like it's down to a cost issue for you people. We got to understand how you establish your budget. Because Fred, I sat in your office when we started this program. And when the lake owners negotiated that refund from the Weevil company of almost $40,000 we got back from them initially about that? We sat down and said, it would be nice if you would set up a $50,000 fund for our treatment to handle the treatment itself in any mitigating circumstances that come up. And you sat there and say, yeah, that would be a pretty good idea. That's exactly what she said.
but it's
Now,
not
if we had
something
set up
can
our
do.
budget, if we had set up our budget the way it should have been set up based on previous costs and contingency issues, we wouldn't be in this mess right now.
But you were switching from Weevils to chemicals at that time, so the previous costs were inappropriate.
What we were saying, we estimated the cost to be in the range of $35,000 to $40,000. And we said 50,000 would be good for a contingency in case we come up with some problems. So let's have a fund of $50,000. Let's maintain that as best we can and base our assessment on that. If we had done that over the years, we wouldn't be in this mess today. Now, I don't understand your budgeting process that comes up with a budget that is less than the previous year's costs. How is that possible? How is that possible?
Are you done? Because I'm not going to talk over you.
Well, that would be the first time.
That's not necessary, George.
And that is exactly why we don't communicate, Chuck.
All right,
Because this is exactly what happens every time we try and get together. And I'm
Okay.
very sorry for that.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
but the answer to your question is,
That's the reason.
all right, guys. Let's,
now.
how do we
just to-
move forward?
just to- Can I just, I'm not gonna let that stop, okay? I'm not gonna let that lay there, and let accusations lay out there like that. Yes, Mr. Hamilton did ask for a $50,000 contingency, at which time he was told that we cannot do that for the very same reason that Roma had mentioned, is that we told him that we cannot have a special assessment district as a savings plan. He has asked numerous times over the years to maintain a $50,000 contingency in there, which we told him over again that we cannot use a special assessment district as a savings.
I think we can stipulate that $50,000 is too much.
So that was something that was reiterated over and over again as he kept asking over and over again for it to be there. So that was always stipulated to him, and he just kept asking. for it.
Okay,
So
I think we can stipulate that.
yeah,
So the question is, depending on the size of the fund, a reasonable fund balance could be 20%, could be 50%. So, and 50% of $28,000 is 14 grand,
Okay.
which is our,
Okay.
so I'm just saying, there's a policy thing. There is a policy point here, which is what is the policy of the township regarding what are the special assessment districts and others? Do you drain them every year to zero? What is your
Usually
best
about the Permit
practices?
fees left. That's usually about all that's left. is
What's that?
The permit fees.
Okay, so you're treating to the budget and not necessarily to the need of the lake. Would that be an accurate way to?
No.
Okay, because if then you're spending all the money minus the permit fee.
Close.
Close.
Okay, so
Close.
that's a
Within
different
about-
way to
within
look
about-
at it.
Within about 5 to 7%.
So you could be over treating. If you're going down to just the permit amount, that means you're spending all the money. If you are treating to the needs of the lake, you're treating to, we can't treat anymore. So
And it's different every year, just like this one is. I mean, they're different every year because obviously it goes by weather, has a, everything.
we agree, 100% we agree on that. This has been a year where we had a lot of milfoil pop up, more than we've had in several years. Last year, we were under the special assessment amount.
Mhm.
So we've been traveling in the right direction. And we believe that is because we have a lake scientist managing this and doing the due diligence we need done that we are satisfied with. We're satisfied with BLM too. That's not a problem.
And I understand it's your money, you want to pay for it. I have no problem with that. What I'm saying is, as the way the resolution reads now, the most we can put on this year's tax bill is 31,440.
Okay.
Now,
And
if you open it up to a public hearing with the 40,000, you still don't have enough money.
okay, but
Unless
it's,
you do your.
So you
To
would
make it
have to
50.
redo your petition to 50,000.
So, okay, can we- all right, thank
Or
you.
45, or whatever it is, if that's what you guys want to pay for.
Yep.
But keep in mind, you're going from $56 a parcel to over 80.
That's fine.
It's fine.
I'm
That's a
just
trip
saying,
to the party store.
How
So-
many people are on your lake? How many people would that
there's
affect?
500
500.
500 parcels.
parcels
I
on
have
that.
39 people there. Does everybody agree with that?
I actually took an informal, I sent an email out to the association members.
Okay.
I have 150 responses. 97% of the people on the lake that responded to the survey are happy. Okay. I work in government too. I hear this all the time. So, question for you, since you opened up the idea of repetitioning the special assessment, is that the right term? I'm not a.
Yeah.
So if we were to reopen this would take a lot of legwork. Can you do that by a board action, or we can do a petition
You
where we.
have to have a public hearing.
Right.
Once, you have to have a public
Sure,
hearing.
I understand.
And
Wait a minute.
everybody has to be notified that's in that special assessment.
Right.
That's if
Just like
the
it was
board
before.
was to do it. If we were to recreate this special assessment district with a 250, with a 50% plus one, could we,
What do you mean?
if, the special assessment district is up for renewal, I believe, in 2023.
Right,
Okay,
right, well, 2024, it says on this.
Okay.
18 to 20.
so what would happen then? Can we reset that for a certain amount if we wanted
In
it to be?
2024?
When it renews, let's take a couple years out in the future.
Mhm.
If we renew that in 2023 or 2024, whenever that is, then can that be reset to an amount to be determined?
Mhm.
Okay. And can that be done? And I'm not an expert here.
And tell me if I'm wrong, Fred, when I'm answering these, because he deals with the
Okay.
legal part of it, not me. You're
Well,
looking at me, but yeah,
Well,
so far, yes.
you brought it up. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Fred's smiling, so I assume that I'm wrong. But I guess the question is, how do we get this for next year so that we can maintain the services and the chemical application we need? And then look at next year, we're going to be at another, we could be at another 10%.
Fred, we have a public hearing to
The
up
only way to
it,
raise it above the 30,
above the
40 is
31
to
public hearing.
have a public hearing
Mhm.
and jump it up. It's the only way you can do it right now.
And then
It's a single public hearing to raise the district up to whatever level you want.
What's the
Raise it
time
whatever
issue
level
on
you want. Pardon?
what's the time issue?
Timing is you've got to have it in the paper 2 times. You've got to have it out to the people within 10 days prior to the public hearing. It's got to be in the mail to them. The notice has to go to them. You've got to send a notice out to them physically. So all 500 people got to have their notice out in the mail.
Not through email, physically,
Pardon?
physically or
Has to
Physically,
be
in the-
mailed.
it's got to be physically in the mail. They haven't changed the law on that. They've
Okay.
tried. We've tried. Trust me,
Right.
we've tried. I'd love to be able to do. I'd love to be able to put the public notice up on our website, but they won't let us do that either. The paper lobby is way too strong at this point. But
Well, you can put it on the website, you just have to put it.
We
you have to
also
put it
have
in the
still
paper
have
and
to
send
do-
the notices and so forth.
Absolutely.
we have to,
Yeah, but we're
because
saying
we only have a
legally
weekly
this-
paper up here, we have to put it in there two weeks apart.
Correct,
And
correct,
we have
yeah,
to
but
put
you
it-
can also put it on your website.
We do have to put it on our website, but I'm just saying it
But
has
that's
to go in
not-
the paper too. That's our
Yeah.
limiting factor. Our limiting factor is because we only have a weekly paper. It's not
Understood.
2 weeks apart.
Understood.
So we've got to have it in the paper 2 weeks apart. And then we've got to have it in the notice. It's got to be in the mail 10 days prior to the actual physical date of the public hearing. After that, the public hearing, we can have the resolution passed at the public hearing. Then anybody at the public hearing that wants to take it to the tax tribunal has 30 days to appeal it to the tax tribunal before they lose the ability to appeal it.
But that's for individual.
That's for individual causes, yes, but they've got to be able to do that before it actually goes on the taxes themselves. So if you work that back to the December 1st date, and actually you're printing, you could pull it right up until that time if you wanted. Because you're printing as of that last week of November.
I'm printing the second week in November.
Well, understood, but you could actually pull theirs
I can
out. If we
pull
got
them out
notice,
the
if we
week
got notice
before.
of the tax tribunal that wanted to file, we could pull it right up until that last week of November out of the thing and then reprint that individual tax.
We just have to have the 500 parcels in there with an amount by end of October. They
Because-
want it, the county wants by the 1st of October, so we're pushing our luck.
So right now, you've got something that you can give them. You've got something, you can do that right now. You can give them what
I
you're
can give
authorized
them
to
the
give them.
figure of the 31,440, that's it.
Correct. We can go and go down this route of reopening the SAT.
Oh, I'm not worried about.
Oh,
We
no.
can do that
issue.
January.
No.
So
We can
let
do
me,
that
No.
January.
No,
let me,
no, you can't, not in January.
let me go
No,
back.
no, it would
Change
go,
that.
Winter tax bill.
That,
it would go on the next winter's tax roll.
Well, the winter tax bills go out
Next
December.
no, the winter tax roll goes out in December,
Yeah. they go-
this December.
Yeah.
They've got to have it,
December
they've got to have it in 2 weeks.
Understood. I
Yeah.
get that. I get that. What,
I guess I'm misunderstanding what you're saying.
so in an ideal world, we would open up the SAD and go ahead and.
Do the
up
2
amount
weeks in the
right
paper,
now.
have the public.
Yeah,
hearing.
and all that in time for the December tax roll. We're past that. That can't happen.
Well, is there
No, we're
time?
not.
No,
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to make sure.
Can we?
Are
It
we
can
done?
happen,
we-
yes, that's
we've
what I'm
done
saying.
this.
I thought we just
No,
heard that the
we-
county
we-
wants it October 1st.
They do, but
But
They get it when they get it.
We-
I don't
we-
have-
they put a deadline out there, but most of these part-time townships
We
don't get
push
this stuff
them.
in, we push that.
Okay,
we
As
push
long as
them.
we have it by the second or third week of October, which if we get it in the newspaper next week, and I'm trying to think, that'd be the first week of October, last week of September. Have your public hearing. It'd be tight, but it could be done.
So.
okay.
Well, I got it in by, my deadline is
That's
Friday.
good.
I have to have it in by this Friday for it to go in next week's paper.
Right.
Okay, and that would be $200 per.
Well, they'll bill,
notice.
they bill us and then we.
But
yeah.
no, it would be $200 per notice, so it'd be about $400 for that. And then the mailing would be whatever the mailing costs.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
53
cents.
Ours
I don't
is
know what
53
postage
cents.
costs.
53 cents is what it costs us
Okay.
Yeah.
to mail.
So, I mean, we're looking at around $1,000 to have this special assessment reopened and have a public hearing for that. Are you willing to do that if we're willing to accept the cost of
It's
that?
your special
Absolutely.
assessment.
Okay.
I'm just putting numbers out there saying right now as it is, you can't do it. So you need to-
So in other words.
I like people that tell me I can't
Bottom
do things. I'm always looking for a way to do
That's why
things.
you-
so-
So a new SAD would probably be a good way to go.
Okay, well, is it a new SAD or is it
Well,
a,
a renewal.
it's a,
It's
it's,
renewal.
Yeah.
So.
That's what I mean.
No, not a new SAD, no.
no,
No,
that's,
it's a
and
renewal.
and I.
It's
I'm
a
all-
renewal.
No, no,
It's
it's
an
not.
amendment.
It's a
It's an
re-
amendment.
it's a-
No,
to
all
the-
you're going to do is increase. it.
Okay, so just an increase.
Changing the amount of the special assessment.
There we go.
Do not
Thank you.
change the district. If
I-
you do that, then we got a nightmare.
That's why I'm very precise on the, when we get down to the nuts and bolts, I'm all about, let's make sure we're all talking about the exact same word. So it'd be a, what did you,
Same district.
Or
what did you refer to it as a
you're increasing the district.
increasing the district? All right. Are you willing to,
The district. fund.
are you willing to give us a chance to do that? And we will put out
Will
a,
help.
we will help.
We will help.
We
You're
will
gonna
help.
All right,
stuff
here's,
all the
I'll
envelopes,
tell
okay.
you, I'll tell you how this is.
When do you need the envelope stuff?
Can I tell you how
We'll show
we've
up.
done this in the past? with
Yes,
Long Lake?
please.
Okay. And I can go back to my office right now and bring them out here and I can throw them all on the table, okay?
Okay.
You guys have done this numerous times. I don't know how long you guys have all been on your places at Long Lake.
60 years.
Yeah, well, okay, I've been in this for 13 years and I was elected in 2008 in November. And my very first board meeting in December, you guys came into the board meeting, my very first meeting, and you stood in front of me and you said, this is what we want. This is what you guys are gonna do. You guys are gonna put weevils into the lake and you're gonna take care of our milfoil problems. I got 40 acres of milfoil and this is what we're gonna have because you're never gonna put chemicals in my lake. I went, wow. Okay, I had no idea what the heck you're talking about. I wasn't 30 days into this job. I didn't have a clue as to what the heck you're talking about. I didn't know what a weevil was.
I didn't know the other day what we.
I didn't know what Eurasia milfoil was. I didn't know what special assessment district was. I didn't know a damn thing about it. But I'll tell you what, I had a steep learning curve because you guys were serious. I went back to my office and there was a cartoon on my desk of a guy in a hazmat suit walking out on a pipe, corrugated pipe that was spewing chemicals into a pond, carrying a bucket that said, not in Long Lake. So it's obvious somebody was dead serious. They weren't gonna have chemicals in Long Lake. So I took this very learning curve, figured out what weevils were, figured out what special assessment districts were, and away we went. And I said, okay, if you guys want to do this, and we're gonna do it by action of the board, you guys got to show this board that at least half of the people in this district that want to do this are serious about it. So we don't get stuck with 20% coming back and putting the petition together and stopping this thing. So I need to see a positive response from at least half the people in this district. So we need at least 250 postcards of something. So they make postcards, little yellow postcards,
Separate parcels.
separate parcels, little yellow postcards that said, I do or don't want these weevils. We had to get at least 250 back in. We got 350. Okay, I got them all on my desk. They want to do it. And this was how much we had estimated. So we want to do it. Said, all right, as long as we had a positive response from that many, we went through. We did it. On action of the board, we made the first assessment district. Went ahead and did it. Took first year, didn't happen, didn't work. Went from 40 acres to 70 acres. Came back, said, not enough weevils. Envirosite said, more weevils. So up the district, put more weevils in. You guys said, wanted more weevils. I said, all right. Now, meanwhile, we were treating chemicals at the other lakes and killing the weeds like crazy. Anyways, long story short, 3 years later, $275,000 worth of weevils and 400 acres of milfoil. Finally said, enough of weevils, they ain't working. Bring on the chemicals. The way we got. So we changed the chemicals. So every time we went to a change, this board said the same thing. Show us that there's support out there.
Okay.
Because the Long Lake property owners, whereas you guys love the group, love what you do, don't necessarily represent the people in the district. Special assessment district is 500 residents, not people, 500 residents.
No, it's 500 parcels.
Parcels, 500 parcels, 500 different parcels out there.
Correct.
Okay? When I say, I meant residents.
We
We
currently
have
represent over
200.
269 active parcels
Okay.
that are in the association and about 40 that are late on their dues, so pay up.
Walk in the door on the way out.
These have got to be these have got to
But-
be, the only people that we're in this district are the lakefront guys.
I understand. That's all, that's our, that is
So-
our membership. So we agree
need-
on that number.
We needed to make sure that, the people that we're getting the responses from are just the people within the district, because they're the ones that are paying the bills and they're the ones that have the voice.
Okay.
So they're the ones that we need to hear from. And we're looking to make sure that there's enough of them that are willing to go the additional buck.
So so the purpose of, there would be a mailing from, I don't know if it's the treasurer or the clerk's office.
We all work on it.
Okay, and I would help stuff. I won't lick stamps. But I will.
500.
We don't like
do
stamps
it.
either. That's why
Okay.
it's a machine.
I do
So,
65.
so we're more than happy. I have no doubt that you would get a sufficient response. And to the notice, that is a notice of public hearing, is that correct?
Yes.
They don't have to affirmatively return anything to show there. They
If
have,
they're not gonna be at the meeting, yes, then
yes, thank you. Thank
if
you.
they aren't gonna be.
But if they don't have to return that as an affirmative response that they supported, if they wish to protest the special assessment district, they come to the public hearing, they stand up here like I am, they state their name, their address, and their parcel address, and they say, I protest this. And then you make a decision based upon the public hearing, or the hearing of the public, as I like to refer to it. And then hopefully you would see that there would be a minority of people that would be not in favor of that.
They can protest their individual assessment.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's through the text.
That, I guess the question is, if we go through all that process and there is minimal, there's only a few people protesting their individual assessment, would you honor our wishes and approve that change?
How much percentage
There's
has to-
500 people in it. If you can get over the 250, at least 50% of the people that come, or is it 20% can stop it?
20% stop.
20% can stop it.
So 100 parcel owners, is it 100 parcel owners?
Oh, it's 500.
Or is it
parcels.
people
500
representing 100
Wrong,
parcels?
wrong, wrong,
I guess
wrong. The 20% stop the district formation, 50% of what we've always looked at.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's what it was.
That's where
The only
the
time the
20%.
20% come into play is in the district formation,
Seven,
50% of
So,
what we've
so you
always
get
looked at. for
250
change.
of those parcel owners in that district
To say no,
to say, no, it can't happen.
okay.
If you, but you need to get 250 that say yes, not your 145.
But wait, but if we're just changing the assessment itself, I don't need to get you 250 people to say yes.
It would be a good show of support. I'm not saying you gotta, you can,
Okay.
you can do emails, email them all and ask them to send us an email.
How much did
Is
you
an
say?
email sufficient? Because I want
Yes,
to make
'cause
sure
that's
that,
showing
Yes, 'cause I
support,
print
because
them.
we print all
I
those.
print all of them.
As
They go
long
in.
as I have a address from up here.
okay,
And
and that's what I want to
remember
make,
I need a name and an address from up here.
that's, I list,
I've got a bunch of those.
The address on the tax record. Right.
yep, and that is fine, and I have actually, I've you generously provided me the mailing addresses of the people. And I think we can do our own homework to make that happen. And we may not hit the 250 goal, but if I can get you 200, would that be close enough to show that there's sufficient?
Well,
Not everybody's
So I
going to
worried about
respond.
the Positive.
Get the 250.
Get the 250 and then also make sure it's not, the husband sends one and the wife. 'cause that
No,
happens.
I
It's gotta be the part one.
I understand that completely, and I'm not wagging my finger at you. I completely understand. It has to be one,
On that.
because
parcel.
some people say, well, can I vote twice? My husband and I.
Yeah.
No, it's about your parcel,
Right.
and that's what a special assessment
And I know you
district is.
understand that, so I'm just.
I have experienced your end of a special assessment
This is all gotta
district.
come to one place.
So,
It should go to the clerk.
Either way.
It should go to the clerk's email because she has to print each one of those and keep them.
So let me, let's see,
Hang on.
I'm thinking, yeah,
I just have a question. So it's not mandatory, you're just saying that it would benefit us to give you some positives. But if we didn't do that, as long as we didn't have 250 people opposing it, it would still be acceptable.
No, we're
Not
looking at
necessarily.
250 people approving it.
Okay, but I thought you said that wasn't necessary.
the law does not require that 250 people show an affirmative response in writing that.
The board is asking for it.
You're asking for a change.
You're asking
You guys-
for a high
You guys are
bar.
asking to increase the bill to everybody out there, to 500 residences, okay?
By.
In the past, anytime you have ever come to us and asked this, we have always asked that you get at least half the people saying they want that change.
Okay, I misunderstood
Okay,
that.
now we've not asked for an official petition, which is what normally occurs under 188. And if you look at Public Act 188, it specifically states in there for any changes, additions, a formal petition or action of the board. We could easily just say, no, formal petition, we're forcing you to get a formal petition, which is almost impossible to get, to be honest with you. But we then back it off and said, we'll do action of the board, but you've got to show us that there's pull out there, because otherwise it puts us in a precarious situation by taking action of the board by saying that we don't have the support of the people within the district. Do you understand what I'm getting at?
You're setting a high
What's to
bar.
stop 20% of you getting together as a group and going, we're going to tell the rest of the people what we want. And they come into the board meeting and say, we want this done. And we're acting on behalf of the people of the area.
And we're not asking this because you're long, like we do this with any special assessment. The roads-
Yeah, it's any
the
district.
roads,
It's not
all
just
of
you.
them.
It's any district. You're not different in this. We do this with any special assessment role that we've got. And we've got a lot of them. I mean, we've got a slew. of them. I got 24 private roads that do the same thing with. So it's the same with all of them. You're not unique in how we're handling.
No, I didn't think so. I just misunderstood.
I kind of did too. I was thinking the other thing.
Because in the beginning,
I was too. I didn't realize you couldn't just get the 250, we had to have 250 negative. I didn't realize that. So I didn't realize that you just could have 250 negative and you were good. You needed positive.
You're talking backwards.
So
Anyway, that's what I thought.
So let me just kind of bring this back. So what you're asking for, you're setting a high bar. You would like us to get 250 parcels plus one. Let's just make it a majority. Just work with me.
Mhm.
So that, and have those folks send in a affirmative, please, I support raising the Long Lake special assessment to whatever we come up with tonight, which I think we need to talk about.
And we can still go ahead and put the public notice in the paper.
Yeah.
It's not good for
You gotta
you,
go at
so
the same
that
time. Do
timetable
all
is
that.
still being met.
And that public notice would have to set have the amount in it, and that's the next thing. But if we can do that, you guys support this, I think. This, I wish we had known about this a couple weeks ago, because I would have put things into motion, and I would have different minds. Anyway, we're
And
here.
we all said that. We said that today at work. We wish we'd have started on this a month ago
We're-
because. we
Yeah, when
didn't
Roger and I
have
we
a-
had first conversation, I'm drinking from the fire hose and learning this as quickly as I can on how aquatic weed control special assessment districts work. And
I'm new to it too, I don't understand.
I'm familiar with police and fire special assessment districts, so ask me about PA 33. But so Roger and I had initial conversation. I didn't realize where we'd be today, and I'm glad we're here. Thank you. So
Lynn has a question.
Yeah, the question is how much, I guess the next thing is how much.
Well, here, so that we can make it clear to our members, we have a number, there's 500 parcels, but we have some people that own multiple parcels. Do you want to vote for each one of them? Can they list them on their email or what parcels?
List their
they
parcel
own,
number,
So that
yeah.
they're all covered and we get an accurate.
But you should
number.
have one
Because
vote
if
per
they have,
parcel.
if they're paying 5 assessments, they got 5 votes.
Right.
Good
but
question.
do you want those separate or can we put them on?
As long as they
No.
list them in the email.
Yeah,
Perfect. That's
All on one email.
Because
Good
we'll have to
question, Ed.
make, because some people have multiple and won't think to list those, they'll just put one and then maybe there are. 5 or 6.
We will have an assessment role. In fact, I'll have an assessment role within days. In fact,
And so these emails, Fred, are parcel addresses sufficient?
No, addresses are kind of screwy. We want a parcel number.
Parcel ID.
That is what is,
Okay.
that is what
Yep.
the.
that's how you're identified.
the most accurate.
Understood, understood, just wanted to know what we
Let
need.
me ask you a question. I know in the past, the townships has provided mailing labels to us. Is it possible to generate mailing labels that have a
Fred can get into that
have a
program.
parcel number on them?
Yeah.
They all.
Okay, because what I'm thinking, somebody mentioned, I think Fred, you mentioned that they did postcards. LLPOA can fund a postcard mailing that has their address and their parcel number on it, and all they gotta do is sign their name and send it back. Is that sufficient?
Told you about that
Anything in
before.
writing.
We do that all the time.
I have an idea. If I was to create a form that had a parcel ID numbers and that it had a tear off sheet at the bottom, that somebody, we mail that out to them, you do your stuff. You have to notice them individually too. But if we took it upon ourselves to send a separate mailer explaining why, had the parcel numbers on there and that name, and all they did is they sign and say, I support,
And send it back.
and send it back, would that be?
That's more difficult than what it sounds.
But if that's
What you just said sounds really easy, but it's a lot more difficult than what you sound.
whatever,
especially
however
when
you want to do it. it's your business.
combining those. I mean, if you guys want to write those down into there, you can do that. I can give you I can. give you
Challenge
an
accepted.
assessment role.
Challenge accepted.
I can give you an assessment role.
I already
List-
figured out how to
list
do
all
all
that
that sitting
down.
here.
Yeah,
But then somebody's got to go through that and join those together and make sure you got them. I can give you that. And it'll all be on there.
you
I
can do it however you
already
want.
figured out how to do it over there.
Yeah.
I work for townships on utility billing. And we combine customers, they got three accounts. I do that stuff all the time. But I think that's a solution where we can proactively tell them why they're getting what they're getting. And that we need them to help us get to this. And I think we have the solution. So the next question is, how much? And I would leave that to Chris, who is the,
Well, that's it. Okay.
and the treasurer. I'm sorry.
And the treasurer.
So I'm gonna sit down and.
I'm David Worth, I'm treasurer for the association. I'm at 8098 Long Road. Okay. I would think an increase of $25 per parcel. You're at 57 and change now. You're gonna go to 31 something. By 500, it's gonna be at 60.
$40,000 SAD is $80 a person.
Okay, but I think the average person right now here is at around 57, 58, 59 dollars
$56.75
Per parcel.
per parcel.
Yep.
If we go to 80, so we're gonna go $23. I said 25. 2 large pizzas at Mikey's, it's gonna cost you $25.
Not a lot.
8 gallons of gas
Okay,
at Forwards is
You
gonna
don't have
cost
to
you.
convince us of that. We're
Okay.
asking you, what do you want this special,
You tell us.
SAD set at?
Well, let me
Go ahead, Chris.
throw something into the mix here. From what I can tell, we have at least a $13,000 hole because of the activities of this year.
The revolving fund that you guys did last.
Right,
year.
and thank you for that.
Yes.
Okay, so we're dealing with at least a $13,000 hole that has to be filled. That needs to be made up. And then we need to provide sufficient funds for continuing operations, okay? Using the lake management consultant and the chemical applicator. Okay, so we need to provide for that. Fred, can we ask to do a larger amount the first year, scope it down the next year, and then with CPI increases or 5% increases per year thereafter, just to keep track of increased costs.
You can, but you don't have to do that. And that's one of the things I've tried to explain to people from time to time. I'll give you an example. Little Long Lake last year, their special assessment roll was approved at $28,000. The special assessment district was approved at $28,000. They had over $16,000 left in their budget from the year before. The treatments had been down, they've been down big time. So rather than keep that, and we're coming to the last year of the district, we're coming to a renewal. So rather than assess the 28,000, we dropped it down to 14,000 last year. So they had their, huh?
We had two, we didn't collect anything.
Yeah, and I think it was Joe's Lake, we didn't collect a dime. We dropped it right off because we had so much money left in there, we dropped it right back. We didn't need to.
I
So
appreciate,
the township, I mean, we have the ability to drop,
Okay.
not collect. We
Okay.
look in September and we look
Okay.
at it and see what's in there and we go, we talk to the treatment contractor, which is exactly what I did. And
Right,
we call
So
the
we-
treatment contractors and say, what do you need for treatment next year?
right.
And the treatment contractors say, this is how much we're looking at.
Mhm.
And, or it's the same as what we did last year. And that's how we set the assessment numbers.
Okay,
And so we don't have to set the assessment number at what is allowed to be set for the assessment roll.
okay, very good.
We don't want to we don't want to set our taxes to our people above what is necessary to collect. I mean,
Agree with that wholeheartedly.
I mean,
Okay.
we're trying to be fair
But
stewards.
what we're
to our
trying to do
people.
is, one, get the orange truck out with the warm asphalt in it and the guys with the shovels out on the road to fill the budget hole.
I get that.
We got to take care of that,
So
right?
what's the number, 50,000 for next year?
So it may need to be $45,000 or $50,000 for next year.
42 would break you even.
Okay, we think, given
You're never gonna
what
get
we
an
know
exact
now,
Is that
okay?
based on
but
what was
what-
spent this year?
But
That's
what
just
we're
the
seeing,
estimates.
with the lake treatments, if we did a little graph saying chemical applications, acreage treated and so forth, is we are seeing an increase in acreage being treated. Okay, there's a seed bed down in that lake, and the scientists who aren't here are better adept at explaining it than I, but that seed bed is now coming to life, and we're seeing more need for weed treatment. So we don't want to catch ourselves short.
I'm
again.
just telling you, 42 is what, if
Okay.
you're looking for a number,
So
I'm
maybe
giving you a base
45 or
to
50
start
would be
at.
the right number.
because
Go ahead, Dave.
if we, I want to just refer one thing, Fred. Our lake, I think, is a little unique than the lakes around us because we've got the public beach, we've got the public access. We got a lot of people come in that are not lake people that bring stuff in.
Loon Lake does too.
Okay, Little Long Lake, they got a little road down there. but
Loon Lake
it's not-
has a lot.
But Loon Lake is, if you don't know where to get in, you ain't getting in, but see that is me.
Yeah, everybody knows where that
Okay.
is. Just
But
because we
if-
got lots of people.
But if we say 42 for next year, you say we break even by the 500 parcels, it's gonna take us to about $80. I'm just gonna use a number. At that point next year, you can either A, increase 5% to cover any deficit, or you can, by a vote of the board, vote 10% per that to take us to 44 if we were short something. Am I correct on that?
Not
But-
to cover the deficit. We don't want that to be in a deficit.
See, you're gonna collect more this year to cover your deficit, but you should
Correct.
not be in deficit again, so that's not gonna be an
Right.
issue.
But we don't know that. There's, I would rather us
There
have-
better not be another deficit, because you better
Well,
not
that's what I-
treat with more than you got.
Okay.
Well, okay,
This
hang
has
on.
created this whole problem.
Hang on. Fiscal year ended 2010, there was a deficit of $80,072. 2011, the deficit, the fund balance, was a negative balance of $25,692. In 2012, the fund balance was a negative $102,336. And in 2013, it was a negative balance of $71,818.
Was that when they were in the rears though?
They were in arrears. Okay, this is per audited financials from the state. That's Weevil era.
But
Okay,
Your-
but so
your
there's,
Lake Assessment District was not set up to collect the funds
was in
that was
arrears.
gonna be treated
Mhm.
until after the treatment. We have changed that since. so
to get in
that-
front of it.
You were-
Yes.
you were
To get in
arrears.
front of it.
The whole thing was in arrears that time.
Yeah, so, and it turned around and we made it forward looking, or tried to, okay? Created a fund balance, a significant fund balance, and then we used the fund balance down until we were at where we're at today. So to the people that have preached it so far is, we need to get that built back up, fill the hole, keep a reasonable fund balance, be whatever, you know, 5 or 10, 15 or 25%, whatever that number is, okay? For unforeseen contingencies that will be encountered since we're collecting the tax in January or on the December tax bills. And the treatment is occurring in the summer because the people get out on the lake and then see what needs to be done, and it's gonna be more or less.
They don't treat in the winter.
Correct, they can.
So,
Right,
yes.
yeah, so I think we need to have a reasonable coverage, and we need to have a reasonable fund balance.
Okay,
going
so I'm
forward.
gonna ask you again,
Yep.
because I'm to the point type person.
Yep.
What do you want?
Can
Give
I
us a
jump
number.
in here for a
Go
It's
second?
ahead.
like you're trying to
So I've been
convince
No, no, no.
us.
over here jotting down numbers
Yep.
that you guys have been spitting out, and I'm not a numbers person, and I'm like you, like cut to the chase, what do
Yeah.
you want?
Yeah.
So looking at what we sent last year, or take it, back, what we sent this year, plus the 13,000, so to get us out of that hole,
Mhm.
we need to fund $56,000 next year.
Approximately, yeah.
Okay, so I think, and that allows space for us to have enough money to do the same level of treatments that were done this summer, plus retain services of RLS, plus repay the township for the $13,000. And then we all just take a deep breath and figure out like what we're gonna do the following year. See where we net out at the end of the summer. Does that number need to go up? I think we have to do 5%, or can that number potentially come down? Because maybe next summer we aren't gonna need as many weed treatments. I mean, I'm just trying to get us to the point where,
So,
again, we need a minimum of $56,000 in there to make it
so
whole.
approximately $105 per parcel.
So you're gonna double your.
Assessment.
But potentially, there were years,
If you go
Okay,
back
hang
to the
on.
legal time, we were up over.
Oh, I
$100.
know, I know,
So
we were at $283.
I know.
Oh, we
Yeah.
know, we were
Yeah.
here.
And
I'm just saying, in order to set out the notices and stuff, you gotta give us a number that
Yep.
you're happy with.
Yep.
So is that your final offer?
That's your final answer.
So we're
I'm
talking,
good.
we're talking basically $100 a parcel
I'll vote for mine.
for
Wait a
assessment.
minute, wait a minute. Let's pick a number. You said $100 a parcel. Is that what you're going with?
That's gonna be the total.
$50,000.
Get you $50,000,
That's
not
50,000.
55.
You wanna go
That doesn't
56,
get us
it's more
there,
than
David.
that.
112, 55,
Hey, guys.
56,000.
Okay.
Roma, did you say our current $56 gets us 31,000? Is that?
No.
Yeah, no, 80 would get you 50.
No, got
80
you,
would
got
get
you
you.
28,
No, if
28,000.
we upped it, the 5% net that.
28,000.
That is right now, the 31,440, it would be 62,888 per parcel.
So 31 though, is at the current assessment.
No, 28,000 is what you
28.
just
No.
paid.
28, okay,
28 is what you just paid.
so you need.
And you're gonna double it.
Half of that again to make up the hole
Yeah,
and have enough coverage to treat next year.
so that gives you an $80 something, right?
It gets us to
It's gonna get you over 100.
So we're gonna be at
approximately
112.
If you go 50, you're going to the 80 some dollars. If you go with the 100, if you go with the 56, it's gonna get you 100 and some. dollars.
112.
112.
112, plus if for some reason we're short next year, you can always assess us an extra 5%, correct?
Or take it down.
Fred? If we did 112, and let's say we're a couple bucks short. This time next year, you could raise the assessment by 5%, just to cover any shortfall, or 10% by the board to cover any shortfall, correct?
One time, 10%. One time.
That's right, by 5% every year, correct?
Correct.
So
If we write
5%.
that into the resolution. That's not part of 188. You've got to write that into the resolution.
Separate 5%.
That is written into the resolution. That's part of something.
The 5%.
That's part of something
right.
you would have to agree to.
But we're not gonna change that, the 5% annually or the 10% one
So
time.
you don't want
10%
to change
is
the
part of
resolution.
188.
other
That's
than-
already into this,
But we're not gonna change.
that doesn't get changed. That
Guys,
gets
we
changed.
need $110.
Okay.
All right, is that, are there any objections to $110?
Yes.
110.
500 exactly.
Those on Zoom, please put your comments in chat.
So how much we looking?
110.
So you're going with.
Do you want to go with the
55.
parcel? Because if you go, you're going with 55.
Yes,
So
yeah,
55.
500 parcels at 110.
So you're setting the district at 55,000, is what you're asking.
That's what we do, yeah. Yeah. We would put language in there to allow an increase of up to 5%. Yep.
So that's double of what they got billed in 20.
Roger, I used 500. We've always been told it was 500 parcels.
It is.
Yeah.
It's 500.
Okay. The lake
I
grew?
looked on my settlement sheet. It was
But-
500.
Okay,
110?
110, 55,000. Yep. Are there any objections to $110 or $55,000 per year?
No.
Okay, let me tell you this. Let me tell you guys this before you go any further. I'm just gonna throw my 2 cents in at this, okay? You're looking at asking the people to double their assessment for weed control, to keep your
Yep.
to keep your contractor, to keep your RLS,
To keep-
okay?
to keep-
Just let me finish this, please, just so I can get this out.
Yeah.
To keep RLS, you're looking at double your weed thing.
Well, it's not just
Pay
to
off
keep
your, pay off your,
RLS.
pay off your thing,
Right,
okay? Pay
because
off your thing.
RLS is only a very small, is it?
I
is it
understand
what,
that.
an $11,000,
I-
$12,000 piece of it?
I understand that.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
We told you the timing on this.
Mm-hmm,
We've got one shot at this,
mm-hmm,
okay? Timing's gonna give us one shot at this.
mm-hmm.
If your number is not on the mark, it's not gonna happen.
We got to go back to the 31.4.
And we're going back to where we were.
Understood.
You seem like you got us out of support.
Yeah.
If you've got this, and I'm just saying, I'm okay if you guys are confident you got the support for this.
Okay, so if we get,
Oh, yeah,
I just want to make sure, if we get the 250 plus one parcels, you're good, you're good, you're good.
Yeah.
And I know it's a consensus, I know it's not a vote,
Yeah, but
but
it's-
you support that. If we can do this, and we
That's
understand the
proven to
challenge.
us that over half the people
Right,
like
right.
that.
That
Yes.
makes you know you.
And what is your drop dead date to get that support?
By the public hearing.
When would the public
When do we
hearing
have to have
be held? That's what I need.
Calendar?
Yeah.
all right, the way this is gonna have to work as far as the calendar goes,
Okay. So now we're talking logistics and.
we have to go.
I lost their video, their voice. This is finally getting to the good part.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've
Yeah,
got,
you're
if you've got,
gonna
if
have
you've got the
your-
250,
And-
if you've got the 250, we open it up for public
Yeah, you
comments
have
and
Nobody's
anybody
here.
who wants to object to it, gets to object to it. And
It's working.
we listen to those objections and to be honest, I mean, I've had public hearings go 10 minutes.
Yes.
We've
Had them go an hour and a half. and Those were not fun.
But unless we
Um,
don't get people here to talk.
So, thank you. I think we actually have we have the bones of a way to,
plan.
a
We
plan.
got a plan.
And we got a lot of work to do, and we're willing to dig in and do that.
We're
So,
changing, we are going to change the way this is structured.
You're gonna change.
okay,
And I'm going to change, I also would like to change the way this contract is structured here with RLS and us, okay? Because there needs to be some formal structure as to how the reporting sequence goes.
100%
I was
agree.
gonna say, so
This
what
has
I
got
would-
to change.
What I would recommend is that
Because-
RLS does their evaluation. They send their recommendations to PLM. PLM is the contractor with the township, correct? So PLM comes up with, well, but in terms of who's paying the bill. RLS sends the recommendations to PLM. PLM takes those recommendations and translates it into an estimate, a dollar amount. And that comes to you for approval in advance. I have no issues with that, but somewhere in the mix, I also want the LOPOA to be part of that because and again, this goes back to part of the reason why everyone is so passionate about wanting to retain RLS. RLS gives us a science-based, unbiased recommendation based on what's in the best interest of that, the long-term health of that lake. And we went from nobody wanted any chemicals to, okay, we're gonna give in and we're gonna get chemicals, but we want this scientists guiding us to now having some louder voices wanting to treat native weeds. And so, again, we value that opinion from Jennifer. So I think that it's important that LLPOA is part of that equation as well, to make sure that we're not going out and over treating the lake, so.
Okay, I'm gonna finish this out. So we've got this structured. We'll get in touch. You'll get in touch with me as far as we know what the dollar value is. I'll find it, get the numbers down. So we'll get that structured. You're gonna get with me as far as getting the list of what you need.
Yep.
We'll set up
I'll check
the
tonight.
paperwork together as far as the announcements. It's gotta go out. We've done this numerous times before. Then start moving this forward and getting the stuff set up and the documentation required necessary to make this happen. So, but we're moving forward with that. Okay.
Two things. One, I think you have to vote to set the public hearing.
Pardon?
You have to vote to set a public hearing.
I think we have to vote.
Okay. I've done that in the past.
I know.
I'm not in the general law township, so I don't know. And the second thing is to the restructuring the agreement, whatever. They're listening, and I'd like to work with you, and I'd like this to be the easiest lake you manage. So this is a new, let's just say that, let's take what's been done before and let's
That would be cool.
that would make your life a little less stressful. So thank you very much. You've got
And
this
I'm gonna-
special.
I've got two things that I want
Okay.
to finish this off. As
I have
far as-
All right, but
Pardon?
I have something I'd like to say too.
October 18th
October
would be the
18th,
public
yeah.
hearing, and you need you
Yes,
need the
I'll make the
250
motion, we
plus
set a
one.
public hearing to, for reestablishing the, value for the, Long Lake Special Assessment District for the 18th at 6 o'clock here. October 18th, 6 o'clock here. Okay.
Roll call vote.
I got a second.
I'll second.
We have a second.
I'm
Any
sorry, I was
questions?
holding you up.
Roll call vote.
Allen.
Yes.
Massey.
Yes.
Huda.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Riley, yes.
Thank you.
When I saw the bill that came, that kind of moved this whole thing up, okay? I knew what had happened. I didn't need to make a phone call because I knew what had happened. I knew Priscilla Core. I know what Priscilla Core is. The reason I know what Priscilla Core is because we've used Priscilla Core effectively on Joe's Lake and Londo Lake. Okay, I know what it's used for, and I know what the deal is with it. The reason we've used it effectively is because it's an extremely expensive chemical. And the reason I knew about it is because both times it had been used, it had been brought to our attention prior to being used because it's an expensive chemical. And it really blows a budget. So it's called to our attention early ahead of time. That's why I was concerned why it wasn't brought, but it wasn't. So we're gonna change that in the future. So, the other thing I wanted to ask, and this is something that I had asked this association, so I'm gonna ask the new association people. Do you guys have anybody that's in the CLMP program?
Not yet.
Wait a minute. I think
We are,
we do.
yes, we are.
Yeah, we
We
are.
absolutely
I
are.
mean, an individual.
Yes, individuals.
We are. We are.
Do you have, you guys,
Yes,
are you
there
guys, have people that are trained in taking the readings and
Taking
Yes,
samples,
yes.
yes.
samples? and
We've
submitting?
actually,
Okay.
that's
They
something
haven't been
like-
submitting the data then?
We just transitioned.
Okay,
to a new
because I know there's nothing that's been submitted since like 2018.
Last year's the only year it wasn't done, it's because the state cut funding.
Right, it's on, I checked last year, that's correct, I looked. and
Last year wasn't
there.
done.
2019 is there.
Last year wasn't done, but at our last.
I will get
meeting,
that for you.
Well, I've got it.
Oh, okay.
I have it, 2019.
2020, there's
That's
nothing.
in that.
Yeah.
file.
We have it but anyway,
So
I was just wanting to make sure that you guys, because there's a bunch of stuff in here that says you guys don't submit data. Data is not submitted for this and this and this. There's a bunch of information that stuff wasn't in, and I just want to make sure you're doing that because this is one of the things that talks about. This is one of the things that goes to lake ownership and ownership of taking care of your lake, taking responsibility for your lake and getting involved with it. And you being part of what's going on with your lake. I mean, this is a program that really takes an interest in what's happening.
I apologize for this. We are part of it, and we'll make sure that gets up to snuff. And like I said, we are transitioning, so.
And we already have arrangements for somebody to do, the first sampling after, as soon as the ice melts in the spring, so somebody's on top of that.
We'll formalize that internally with the association.
Yeah, and it's just one of those programs that anybody can get into and see the condition of your lake and see what's happening out there, what your like, what the value of it is, so on and so forth.
We've
Yes,
been
ma'am.
doing longitudinal studies on our lake for the last 20 years, and we do have that data.
Pardon?
We've been doing longitudinal studies on our lake. People have been taking the second disc readings, they've been doing the phosphorus studies. And the only reason we don't have data from last year is because of state, they were taken.
Because of funding.
I was just, because like I said, I got the data and the stuff wasn't in there for everything, and they were talking about missing stuff, and I just want to make sure we're still up on this stuff.
That's one of the important elements of our association.
Yeah.
That we do our own management as well as listening to our own knowledge.
Correct. Okay. Sue, did you-
Yeah, I have a question.
I do have one thing.
I think.
No, go ahead.
I have a question for you. Something you said earlier, when Fred said he asked Jennifer, is the treatment gonna be about the same amount of money? And she said, yes. What do you feel he should have said to her? Because you said you didn't think he handled it well, and I'm just asking a question.
I don't.
Do you think he should have bombarded her and said, well, you better make sure?
No, not
Okay,
that.
what do you think he should have done about that?
What is it that you're proposing to cover with that budget?
But she's the expert.
Correct.
So if she said it was gonna be the
Yes.
same,
That's why we have,
that's what we believe. If she says that coverage is gonna be the same, she's the expert, that's what we believe.
but the person submitting the budget, Fred, okay?
But she knew what the budget was.
With the information received, okay, would say, I think I need some more information here to understand what's covered in this. Because where I work, I am an expert.
Okay, but
in
not
nothing.
everybody does it exactly like you.
No.
Not everybody makes the same decision, so.
No, but what they do.
But for you to
is-
blame him,
I'm not,
you were blaming him that he should have
you know
handled
what,
it.
I was,
You were.
and I did,
You did.
and I still do. Okay. Because.
So I have one more thing.
That's
I
not
have
saying
one
you're
more
wrong.
thing before we're done. Yeah, I have one more thing before we're done. I grew up in this area. As a kid, I lived on Long Lake. I've used Long Lake my whole entire life, lived here my entire life, lived on the lake most of my kid life. So when I seen Facebook messages coming through, emails coming through to my email that said, we didn't care about that lake, shame on you. Whoever sent it, shame on you. Because we care about these lakes. Every single lake in this area, whether I live on it or not, I care about this lake as much as the rest of the board does. So for you guys to say that we didn't want to listen to you because we didn't care about your lake, shame on you. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. No, thank you for going there. Appreciate it.
You guys don't understand, this is our community.
Exactly.
Yep.
Every one of us live up here. Most
We're-
of us were born and raised up here. We graduated out of the school. We live in this community 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And
And
whether we
when we're
live on
on
your
these
lake or
chairs,
not,
we're
doesn't
still
make a
gonna be
difference.
in
Whether I live on Loon Lake or
Exactly.
not, doesn't make a difference. These lakes are part of our community and they're always going to be part of our community. We're here all the time, okay? And we're always going to be here. We're going to take care of everything in this community because this is who we are. And this is always going to be who we are. Regardless of what you think, regardless of what you
If
want.
you don't live there, doesn't mean you don't care.
We're going to do what we think is always best for our community, and these lakes are part of our community. We will never let anything hurt our lakes, ever. Because they are who we are. They're what we grew up with. We grew up skiing, swimming, fishing, winter ice fishing, ice skating. All of it, on all of these lakes, every one of them. So they're all part of us. They're part of our history. So we'll never let anything hurt these lakes, ever.
Thank you. Thank you.
We
And as,
appreciate what you did for our lake tonight.
Thanks.
yes.
Appreciate it.
As part of that, as part of community and building community, I would like to see the LLPOA leadership meet formally with the township board twice annually in a meeting forum such as what we did now, but not to deal with a problem like we're just dealing with.
Just a touch base.
What's that?
Touch base.
Touch base. What do we see? What problems are you having? What can we help with? What problems are we having? What can you help with? And have that conversation. Fred, I would love to have that.
Pick 2 months, pick 2 months out of the year of our normal standard meetings. We meet on Wednesdays
Mhm.
and pick 2 of our normal Wednesday meetings and pick them at 6 o'clock.
There we go.
Pick a half an hour.
Thank
before
you.
our
Half an hour
regular-
before our
Regular meetings, and we'll
Thank
come
you.
in a half an hour early and sit down and
You just tell us when
set
you're
2 of those months. If you want to do them in the
You guys
summertime,
know
that's
this,
fine with us.
Yeah, summertime too, isn't it?
So
Just pick any one of those, but
Many
just
of us are
pick,
here summer anyway.
pick a half an hour, yeah,
We
pick
all
a half an hour early.
I think that's a
best
wonderful
for
idea.
us. Yes, sir.
And I just, oh,
Absolutely.
Also ask that maybe somebody from your board comes to one of our meetings during May, June, July, August.
You guys, I'm gonna tell you, and I'll tell you the same thing I told you when I was in that, when I stepped out of the meeting over there. I go to whatever meeting somebody asks me to go to, as long as I don't have a conflict. I was at the Loon Lake meeting. I stepped out of the Loon Lake meeting because they asked me to come to that meeting on that Saturday. I jumped into your meeting because you guys had asked me to quickly jump in, but I had a commitment at the Little Island Lake meeting at 10 o'clock too. So I had to run out to the Little Island Lake meeting and be there also. I turned down one at Joe's Lake because I had the Little Island Lake meeting to go to, and they had it at 10 o'clock anyways, but I have no problem in that.
Are okay, and we say, can you come to the Memorial Day weekend meeting? Somebody from the board come.
When
I
you guys
have-
pick holidays, that's the only time I see my grandchildren, so I'm gonna turn you down right now.
all right, fair enough.
I understand.
All right.
I would like to take it one step further. Would you be willing to go on a nice slow pontoon trip around Bear Lake next summer at some time, so they can see the different features of Bear Lake and we can explain what's happening?
Can you guys do me a favor? Yes, the answer to that question is probably at the right time as any of us, yes. But can I ask you guys a question? I need help.
What do you need help
What
with?
do you need?
I need you guys to police the flipping beach.
How would you like us to police
I
the
want you
beach?
guys to call me when you see the people down on the beach throwing 3 bonfires at one time, but with a bunch of big
Burn
rigs
our
down there,
volleyball.
blaring
Do you want the calls at
thing.
2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, call me. That's what this is for.
All right.
Call me.
I'm gonna get your number.
It's on every sign at every park, 984-7073. It's on every sign at every park.
Sure, we're happy.
Every park has a sign that says Plainfield Township Park.
Don't
If you
call
have
me,
a
it's
question, call 989-984-7073.
I'm not gonna volunteer that.
You'll be happy to know that Christy Major took it on herself as part of the lake cleanup
did.
project
I seen that.
to go and clean up that beach. I don't know how.
Do you know, do you see those great big concrete blocks we put there?
Yeah.
Do you know why we put them there?
Because people are driving
Because
on-
after that party, whatever they did on Labor Day or Memorial Day weekend,
They were
we
driving.
went down there after Memorial Day weekend and there were 3 great big fire pits down on the beach that they had 3 gigantic bonfires. And come to find out, they had pulled their rigs down there, their great big trucks down there, pulled out their boom boxes and they were partying hardy. And I'm like, now, I can't go down there. I mean, I'm not gonna go down there, but I had a couple of my fire guys that I talked to and they said, you know, give us a call and a couple of us could maybe get down there and see if we could stop them. At least if I could turn on the fire rigs, if I could drive a fire truck down there and turn on the light, maybe it'll scare them away. But I mean, you know, I'm not gonna go down there by myself and try and tell these, you know, great big guys, hey, I want you all to take party up and head up. That's not gonna stop them. But at least we stopped the rigs from going down there with those big
Or when
blocks.
they had the razor that they kept doing donuts till they destroyed everything down there.
But I don't
Get
have
a
a problem with
picture of
them
it or
going down there and
something so
having,
we can
and
identify
partying on the beach, but when they pulled those trucks down there, they had glass everywhere. It was a mess.
We totally, obviously, we have a lot of passion, and I'm gonna call you, I promise. Probably
Well,
not.
call me.
I
until-
want them to
You know,
enjoy the
and
Not
beach.
just-
I
sometimes
just
if
don't
you
want
guys
them to
just
turn it
make a
into a
presence
mess.
and go out there, say, hey, we live on this lake, you know, do you really have to do
Well,
this?
again, it's to the point of, you want to confront some drunken people that are having a loud
Well,
party.
I want them to know they can't think of it as a party place. I want them to stop doing that, okay? I mean, I
we're
walked
fine
up
with
there
that.
one day and the guys went out there and somebody had taken the crapper and it tore the crapper off the hole and it tried to stuff it in upside down. I don't know why, I'm not sure what they were doing,
All right.
but they were trying.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wasn't
No,
me.
I've actually got, I can send you a photograph of it because I've got one, okay?
All right.
And so,
I think
For sure, fireball.
but no, what I need, and what I'm needing from you is when things like that happen, or if you see something like that, don't confront it. I don't want you out there on it. But I need to know, so at least we can try and do something about it. If it's nothing more than me getting one of my fire guys and giving, hi, Pat. Having Pat a call and go, hey, Pat, you know, send the EMS rig, send the MFR rig and let's drive by the park with the lights flashing and the siren going up. We may not go in, but we can make the siren go and maybe scare somebody.
all right.
I mean, anything like that.
You have
is-
our commitment to that, I'm sure.
I can't, I'm not out there enough. I can't see these things, okay? The same thing is true when it comes to your roads. I can't be on all your roads, okay? I can't see when you've got bad roads, when you've got potholes occurring in a lot of those roads. I can't tell when that stuff's going on, guys. You've got to call me and tell me that so I can turn it into the road commission. I need your eyes out there.
Or email, road.
Email would be fine too. Just
Not the-
identify an
not the
address
party
as to
that's
where
running
it's
one
at,
that's
what's
a-
going on. The other one I want to tell you about is any of the streetlights. When you've got a street light out, you've got to tell me where it's at. We pay for every street light that's out there. You pay for every street light that's out there. We pay it in our taxes. We pay a set fee for every light. So if it's burning or not, we're paying for it. I'd rather have it burning, okay? But I don't know when they're out unless you tell me that they're out. But when they're out, I can turn it into consumers and they'll come out and fix it. So those are the things that I need help on from you guys. When things like that are going on, you need to tell me these things, okay? Send me an email, tell me this stuff is happening out there. I need your eyes out there when this stuff's going on.
Well, I guess we're about ready to go home. And I thank you very much. And I understand your points about, you know, you grew up in this community, you lived here a long time. I came onto this lake when I was 6 months old. And it's been a part of my life ever since. And it's going to be a part of my life to the day I die. It's been part of my father's life, my mother's life, and every child and every grandchild of theirs. We love this lake as much as you. We love this community. And so I'm committed personally to, I took this crazy job thinking I was going to do 4 meetings a year. It's obviously already been more than that.
They lied
But-
to us, Michael.
I understand. I always believe in professional communication with elected officials, whether we like each other or not. We don't always like each other.
Well, it just might be whether we agree or not.
I understand that very well. And I have people on my city council that don't like me. It's hard to believe. But so the commitment tonight is we're going to take these additional points you made about ownership of the lake and letting you know about them. You're going to hear about that, I can assure you. We appreciate the special assessment, this challenge. We are going to succeed.
I have no doubt you will.
So, and now we have a lot of work to do. So with that, I'll let you adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron was making that motion.
That's
Ron was beat you to
my
it, Roger.
motion, Roger, don't be taking it. Thank you, Brady.
Oh, and there will be a call.